Okay. So basically, so last lecture we discussed about the theoretical part of the uh, international economics, where we discuss the various theories are given by the classical economics as well as the modern economics. In the classical economics, we have the actual we have the Adam Smith theory, which is known as a absolute advantage theory. And similarly, there are another theory which is known as a classical theory that is given by Ricardo, that is a competitive advantage theory. And both theory are saying that the country have the advantage for the particular commodity production of the particular commodity, or maybe they have the competitive advantage of the production of the particular commodity, and that's why these country have the trade between them, and their trade will be a gainful trade. Similarly, afterwards, there is one theory is given by the Herberus that is known as the opportunity cost theory, and where Herberus tried to explain the trade are take place between the two different countries because of they have the different opportunity cost of the production of the commodities. Afterwards, we have the theory that is a modern theory is known as Hechter-Ohlin theory, that is known as also factor abundant theory, where the Hechter and Ohlin try to explain the country have the trade because they have the different factor abundant, and that's why though there in a word there are some countries those are the labor incentives, and there are some countries are the capital incentive. So basically, the labor incentive country can be specialized in a production of the labor incentive commodity, and similarly, on the other side, the capital incentive country can be specialized on only the capital incentive commodity, and they can exchange that commodity to the international trade. So that theory is known as Hechter-Ohlin theory or factor abundant theory or the modern theory of a trade. So now today we discuss about the post Hechter-Ohlin theories of the trade, or we can say the theory of an imperfect market. So basically, Hechter-Ohlin as well as others, the economics previously what we discussed, all these economics they are assuming that full employment and the perfect competition is there. But basically, in real life, we can't see the perfect competition. There is imperfect competition in the market. So we have if there is imperfect competition, how will we trade happen between the two different countries? So basically, we have the Hechter-Ohlin model and empirical facts. We try to find out, try to search this empirical fact of the Hechter-Ohlin model. Suppose Hechter-Ohlin model assume that the trading countries have the homogeneous production function degree 1 even through they have the different factor of in endorsement. So basically, in empirical fact, the Hechter-Ohlin model assumes that trading countries have the homogeneous production function or and degree ones, and they have the different factor abundant or victor different factor, you can say, endorsement. So basically that homogeneous assumption is quite unrealistic assumption. In reality, we can't say the factor of production are the homogeneous, because each and every factor have the different differences. And when we take an example like a labor, or we take an example like other factors, so they have some difference in their skill or their production capacity also. So that also we have to think about. So the Hector-Wolin theory assumed that the two trading partners have the constant return to scale in the production, and both goods and the constant return to scale provides the basic of the foreign trade. So basically, they are assuming that picture only that there is a constant return of the scale, and they have the constant return of the scale. That's why the foreign trade will be happen between these countries. But in an empirical fact, some economics have found the empirically fact that is the trade take place even under the condition of an increasing return also. So there are the increasing return in a country, but they have the trade. It implies that the factor incentivities is revised, and production of a commodity X is made labor incentives, and commodity Y is assuming that a capital incentive. So basically, there is a trade between the two countries even under the condition of quite opposite condition. So if the country is a labor incentive country, but he produce more capital incentive commodity and export that commodity. Similarly, there are some countries if they are the capital incentive, the capital abundant countries, but they are producing more labor incentive commodity on exporting such commodity. So the theory conclude that the countries only until there is a complete specialization and factor price and product price are equalized. So country have to make complete factor equalization, that specialization, and that time they have the equalization between the factor price and the product price between this country. So these are the some fact we can see with the Hector-Wolin theory and empirical fact. So basically, we have to think about the beyond Hector-Wolin theory, economics of the scale, internal trade. So there is the question will be arise, why is there a trade between a nation have similar factor endorsement and using the same production technology? If there are some countries they have the similar factor endorsement, and as well as they have the same country, why there is a trade? So the answer will be there will be trade because of the economies of the scale. Okay, and this economy of the scale is a different, and that's why this such a country have the trade. They are able to do trade between them. So there will it means if there are some countries those have the similar factor abundant or similar factor endorsement, as they are using the same technology. So in such a manner, the trade will be happen because of the economies of the scale, and the economies of the scale have the different in a different country. So basically, the economies now we have to think about the economies of the scale and internal trade, international trade. So the law of increasing returns of the scale status that when more and more input, it may be capitals and labor, are used to produce a commodity, its output increase more than proportionally to the increase in the input. So basically, the increasing the returns, it means when we are increasing the input in number of the input or quantity of the input, the proportionally the output also increasing in the same increasing in a quite more than increasing the input. So increasing returns to scale are caused by the economic of the scale, and the economics of the scale are classified, that is there are the internal economies of the scale, and similarly we have the external economies of the scale. So basically the economic of a scale are created because of the more production or increasing the production, the economy of the scale will be created, and that's why the trade will be happen between the country if they have the same technology or they have the same factor abundant also. So basically, economies of the scale and international trade. We have to continue the slide. The economies of the scale causes a decrease in the cost of the production. So basically, the economies of scale, it means it cause of the economies of scale, the causes of the decreasing the cost of the production, because it's internal. If we are thinking of the internal economies of scale, so that will be to improving the technology, to use modern technology, or use quite better quality raw materials, use skilled labors. So these are the all factors which have the impact on internal economy of the scale, or finding a new market, or advertise a commodity quite effective manners. So basically, in that way, the production of the cost of the production will be reduced because of the economy of the scale. And as the production increasing, cost curve will began to the slope down. So as the production increase in increasing scale, that time the cost curve will be decline continuously. So the downward sloping average cost curve plays to important roles in the context of the international trade. Downward sloping cost curves. So cost curve is a downward sloping. Why it's a downward sloping? Because while increasing economy of the scale, so increasing the production of the commodity, it will be created some economy of the scale. It may be internal as well as external economy of the scale, and that's why cost of production will be declined and the curve will be reducing. Curve will be sloping downwards. So basically, basically, it changes the structure of the domestic market, and it lead to the specialization in a few products which create favorable condition for the international trade. So basically, in economy of the scale, it changed the structure of the domestic market, as similarly it lead to specialize in a few products which create the favorable condition for international trade for a particular country because of the economy of scale. So economies of the scale, market structure, and the trade. So we try to understand the economies of the scale lead the increasing return to scale, and increasing return to scale reduce the cost of the production. Already we discussed about that. And the economies of the scale vary from the firm to the firm. So basically, the we can't say the economy of the scale is the same to each and every firm. That it will be have a different economic scale for a different firm, and therefore the resulting the decreasing the average cost varies from firm to firm. So similarly, the average cost also is vary from the firm to firm. This kind of the cost variation changes the market structure, and it make the market monopolistic or oligopolistic. So basically, because of the economies of the scale, who are getting the economies of the scale, those are producers are able to produce more, cut higher amount of the production. Okay, so they can get the economies of the scale, and because of the economies of scale, their economies of scale are different for the in a different form for the different firm. They are getting different economy of scale, and that's why each and every firm have a different cost average cost curve, and it will be created to the market structure will be changed, or it will be helped to change the market structure, and that the market structure can become a monopolistic or oligopolistic market. In a monopolistic market, where we have the price product depreciations, or there are a number of the sellers are there, they are producing similar commodity, but they have the depreciations in that commodity. Similarly, in the oligopoly, there are few producers are there, and they controlling the whole market. Basically, on the industries of the country turn out to be oligopolistic or monopolistic, and firms continue to enjoy economies of the scale, because these firms are limited, and they in an oligopoly market basically, and they are continuously enjoy the economies of the scale. They can expand their production beyond their domestic demand. So they are able to expand their production beyond their domestic demand. Under this condition, they look for the market outside the country, and they lead to the international trade. So they can able to produce more production which is compared to requirement of a domestic requirement. It means they are able to create some surplus of the production, and then through that surplus production, they can say export this surplus production to other outside country or other country. So that will be the economics of the scale can be helped to the trade, international trade between the two different countries. Next, we have the economics of scale specialization of the trade theory. So there also in this theory also we have to assuming some situation where first assumption there are two nations, that is the A and B, having the identical resources endorsement. So that is the first assumption. There are only two nations are there. One is A, another is the B, and they have the identical resource endorsement. It means they have the identical same factor abundant or same factors are available in a different countries, different two countries. There are two commodities X and Y with the same production function. So there are two commodities, they are producing X and Y, and both commodities have the same production function, or both country have the same production function. So production of the both commodity X and Y is a subject to increasing return to scale in a both nation. So production of the both commodity X and Y is depend on increasing return to scale in a both nation, and both countries face an identical production partner, or they are facing the same production possibility curve. Why they are facing the same partner or same production possibility curve? Because we are assuming that these both countries have identical resource allocation, or we can say identical resource endorsement or factor abundance are there. So they have the identical production possibility curve or partner. So both nations have the identical social indifference curve also. So both nations they have the identical social indifference curve, because the condition in both nations are the same. Afterwards, here they are able to do a trade, economy of the scale, and in fortnight and equal gain of the trade. So here we have the in a domestic level, basically the producer can produce these are the country, and they can produce by the X and Y commodity. So basically, they are able to production uh, because of the increasing return to scale. The B country is able to produce more X commodity, so they can shift from A point to the B point, where we have the indifference curve 2, and they are able to produce by the extra O commodity because